And welcome back. This is Back Then When, where we bridge eras, preserve culture, and build legacy. How y'all been?
What's up, man? What's going on?
All is well. All is well.
Yeah. Well, first things first, let's start with the main business online. What y'all think of that game last night?
I see.
It's all right.
You always
Long-
count on the Dallas fan.
Yeah.
Early season. It's
You know
all
what
right.
we think about.
Yeah.
I put it this way. That's
Why you think y'all
that's
lost,
the
man?
only loss.
Why you think y'all lost?
It's good to lose early if you're going to lose.
Exactly.
You got a
Okay.
long
So
season.
I don't have
We'll be all right.
a strategic answer for why we lost. So what you
Why
looking
y'all
for?
0-1?
Why y'all ain't them boys?
That's like that.
You know what I did notice? Y'all not them boys like y'all usually are. Why we all them boys?
That's
them
like
boys.
that. We about to get everything right against these Giants.
We're
man.
gonna see.
Really? These Giants, the business.
That's not hard work.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so it's been a lot of stuff popping in the city and in the area. I think the thing that stands out to me the most is the whole, Trump sending in them folks, National Guard, into the city. Mm-hmm. And when they first announced it, the first idea was like, man, this is foul. But then you started seeing some people who were posting stuff that was saying like that that crime was down. And then you saw people saying like it's been 2-3 weeks since there's been a murder. And so has that conflicted like the whole concept of National Guard being in place?
Well, I always come from a historical perspective. Mm-hmm. We've seen this before. Mm-hmm. Different reasons, and some of the same reasons. Us native Washingtonians, we get in our feelings. Mm-hmm. We get in our feelings about what's happening with our city.
Yeah.
Especially when we feel like an outsider is coming to do something that, we could be doing or do.
Yeah.
And, just like numbers don't lie, we're seeing the result of, this shock effect that the Trump administration has put down. Mm-hmm. It's actually a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing for the we don't like the person that did it, of course, and we shouldn't publicly say that we like him or we approve of anything he's doing.
Yeah.
But the result of what he's doing is working out.
Okay.
And we love our city. We want our city to be as best it can be as well.
Okay.
So,
that's right.
what I get from this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us as Washingtonians to do what we should be doing anyway. We can come out of our house and pick up some trash off the street in front, on the curb, on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. We can do the same things that they're claiming that they're coming in and doing. And we need to, again, as I always say, we need to rebirth the village, have our own community policing like we did back in the day, like our OGs did for us. Even though some of our OGs were part of the problem, they were still at the same time making sure that we weren't going to become as part of the problem.
Yeah, there was honor among
they cared
thieves.
about us. They cared about us going to school, and they cared about us getting in trouble, things like that. So it's just an opportunity for us to make sure we do the same things that we know we can do to prevent something like this happening.
Yeah, what you think, Dax?
I mean, he said it. Numbers don't lie, but we've seen this story before. Mm-hmm. I just think the office that's in there now, because I'm not using, I think the office in there now is like they're doing it for something else. Mm-hmm. Like I think the mayor, they was doing their thing for what what's going on in the city.
Yeah,
the youngers out here acting crazy, but that's been going on forever. Mm-hmm. You put some rats around cheese, they gonna fight to get it. Mm-hmm. So we've seen this before. I just think it got amped up because of who's doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The National Guard, all this stuff. I think it's a good thing if their numbers are not lying. Yeah. But we just know it's all about politics. Well, all of a sudden we jump on this thing when a lot of other things are going on in the news about the office. And now all of a sudden we want to do something in D.C. It's other cities that's even worse. Yeah. I don't see this. I've seen worse in D.C. before in the 80s and 90s.
And so we know that there's a political element to this, right? And we know that this is, the Republican call for being tough on crime and all of that stuff. But if you think of the city that we grew up in, like if we were teenagers now, the police system that we dealt with is totally different from this police system that they deal with now. Like I think I think to be a DC police now, you got to have like an associate's degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where back when we was coming up, they was pulling jokers straight out of high school, putting them in academy, giving them a pistol, 6 months after graduation, and sending them out there.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Like, yeah, I remember the police used to pull up, where we used to kind of hang out. They'd be like, man, we'll come over there and take our belts off and fuck y'all up.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, come on.
Yeah.
So it was a whole new different dynamic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm glad you brought that up, Clay, because we grew up with the Boys and Girls Club. Mm-hmm. That was the police. That was the police department.
Yeah.
Okay, running that.
Yeah.
And they cared. They actually cared. You could go outside and you got the police officer on the beat or whatever they doing. They talking to you.
So
like
be honest. Did a side-by-side band crank?
Back then, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And that's the first responders bringing it up because it's so many elements. A couple of years ago, me and the wife we did an event. It was a back-to-school event. We getting in preparation for it, and we had reached out to the police department, MPD. And so I actually went foot on the ground to each district, had a flyer and said, well, this is what we need to do. I need your community outreach officer to get involved so we can have y'all show up because we want to do rebirth the officer-friendly program that we grew up on. Mm-hmm. Now, the police department still, if you go online and put in officer-friendly, they still have it set up. Mm-hmm. But do you all hear about the officer-friendly program? Or
never.
Nah. Exactly, because they're not doing shit. And what's going on is, I know they're not doing anything. So I said, you know what? This is the problem when it comes down to the youth not understanding that the police are not the enemy.
Right.
Okay, so we wanted to bring everyone together and bring the police department and first responders, which we did. Shout out to DC Fire and EMS because they always on board for whatever we do. But the DC MPD and not all the officers. We're not talking about. I'm gonna speak on what you said, but we're not talking about the whole police department as a whole. We're talking about some of the folks that are in charge don't take it seriously as they should in the community because of a lot of them are transplants. And what you were saying about they don't hire within because of that associate's degree, which I'm hearing that it's supposed to get relaxed sooner or later.
Okay.
I'm hearing that. I don't know if it's true. I hope it is, but they are actually the reason they're soliciting the hiring from, it's some guys from New York that were telling me that, they were seeing it on the train. DC MPD is hiring and they got all these incentives. So, you know what I mean? So, people that went through the academy, how we used to growing up high school, they're in the cadet program, went through the academy. And it's actually a program that's still run through UDC. Yes, our historically black college and university, the University of District of Columbia still runs a program like the academy. You can go through there and actually, be hired on the police force. But that is the issue. That's one of the main issues. And you got it. And then what happens is the youngins not, hey, look, they think they not with all the police stuff because they're not seeing the village. They're not seeing how the police and we can tell them stories, but it still doesn't register as actually seeing it.
Yeah.
So they, just like, I'm not sure if you all saw a couple of weeks ago, this police officer, a young guy that went to Dunbar. Okay, he went to Dunbar and he was on the streets, and the youngins were just tearing him.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
They slaughtered him. They slaughtered him as he was getting smacked out of high school.
He got upset. I seen it.
And he got upset. You know what I mean? He was like,
I'm him.
Yeah.
Like when he said that, man, it struck me. I'm like, man, why did he say that?
Yeah.
Why did he say that? And it made it worse.
Yeah.
And this is what's going on. So that the police they're in desperate need of training, some additional training of how to handle situations like that. So, and it's embarrassing to me personally because this is actually a dude that that's from DC, that went to Dunbar.
Yeah.
And he's acting in this manner.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the answer.
Gotta stay professional.
You definitely need to take some of the old school things that we used to do and just mix some of the, you know, some evolutionary practices in, and I think we'll see a change.
All right, what you think, brother?
I mean, I agree, but I mean, they got to start. Like back in the day, we had the officer friendly. I remember this white dude in our neighborhood used to drive up and down 12th Street, and he used to. I think his name was Officer Lee. Good dude, but we didn't look at him as the enemy. Right. You know, he was cool. He jump out the car. Hey, what's up? Woo-woo. Yeah, he come out there, shoot ball with us, all that, man. He was a good dude. So now, but he was from the community. He grew up at Catholic Youth.
Wow.
Feel me? Which is not too far.
Right.
But what I'm saying is nowadays they getting police from all over the country to come here.
Everywhere.
It's different. They're not used to
Midwest
being around the way with the people that grew up to be police.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
So they don't understand. They did to do a job and get a check. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just counterproductive in the community because it's a different animal that, you know, you have to be able to connect with the youth as a police officer, you know, to actually see some real change. And we were upset with the police department the night before our event. I'm not gonna say any names, but one of the white shirts gave us a call and said, we can't make it. We can't, you know, at the day before. Yeah. So you know, shout out to the officers that did come and show up, the DC community outreach officers in DC that showed up to our event and really understood how we were trying to bridge the gap. And they saw our work, and even, you know, the fire department and even Maryland, PG County, the sheriff's office showed up. So that's embarrassing to me because at least probably about 20 officers came from the PG County sheriff's.
When did jump out start?
When did they start? Oh, back in when doing, you know, in the middle of the crack epidemic.
Okay, that's when they started.
You know, when we were this with the jump out.
86 with it, 85, 86.
Yeah, because it was like it wasn't as bad. You know what I mean? But it got real bad like in that 89, you know, 89, 88, 89, 91, 90, 91 because of the murders. You know what I mean? And they would do strips. They was, you know, just shut down.
It was bad in 85. I'm gonna tell you why.
Well, that's when it first hit.
Cause I went down served some quarters one day. There used to be a line.
Oh yeah.
They used to sell that PCB out there, right?
Oh yeah.
So it was a line with the boat. I remember it was a line.
That's actually what started.
We was out there one day and them people jumped out. That was the last day I stood around there. I seen that. I was like, I'm gone. Sorry.
That's how
they was jumping out like crazy out of there.
And did people have packages in their pocket, or they had
they had them all around their stash, pockets, everywhere, throwaways. They was out there. Police used to come through though.
That was the height.
Water.
You know what I mean? So that's what was going on. That boat was on. That they had to do that.
Clay, let me ask you, what's your take on discussion about these officer friendly? What you think?
That's a good question. So, you know, being born and raised here, like, I just remember like so many different levels of police. You know, like, you know, when we were young, like you said, I mean, the police seemed like there was some friendliness there to them, right? And then I want to say, right when I was in high school, there was a lot of police that were retiring, and then they had you know, they opened it up, but they put those programs in high school. So your senior year, you did a half schedule, and then the rest you were in cadet academy.
Cadet program.
It was a couple guys I went to school with who went into the police force. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't think none of them lasted as police. All of them eventually got fired or got locked up because they
wasn't ready.
Y'all remember the Dirty Dozen, right?
Yeah. You know, so
you got caught up in you know, in that environment. Some of them. But I know, you know, on a positive note, I know a handful of officers that I went to school with that have recently retired. You know what I mean? From back then, they went through the academy, the cadet program in high school, did their thing, their whole career, retired. They living it up now. You know, and they had good names in the community. You know,
but it was a point
got
where
a pension.
It was a point where we all dealt with some serious police aggression.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I still also remember in the the early 90s, there was a period where they caught because there was some white cops that would come in from, like, say, Anne Arundel County or somewhere out there, and they come in. And I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a time when, like, early 90s, where the police had put out they had done like a story, because they were saying that a lot of them were with some stuff, like they had these T-shirts that said "Boys on the Hood," and they was trying to say that they aligned with the KKK and stuff like that.
I think I vaguely.
So it was a point where, like, DC police had to kind of weed out some dynamics like this. But what I see now is, and I don't know how the city got here, but we've gotten to a place where they wanted police to be too educated and too intellectual.
That's a problem.
And so I think it works.
Sounds funny to say that,
yeah,
but that it is a problem.
Right. Because and I get it, because on one part, a lot of the police calls are people who are in crisis, somebody who's drunk, who's high, who got a problem, or somebody's in a mental health crisis. So it was one point where they were over policing them folks, right? So they wanted to have cops who could kind of have a better understanding, help de-escalate situations. But a lot of these youngins out here now, they've never seen the type of police that we dealt with. And so, they're going to be some that anytime that there's anybody in,
opposed to what they want to do.
Right. Anybody who's an authority figure, they just going to go with them regardless. Like, there's a segment of the population that's that.
And you got to know how to handle them. That's what I'm talking about. It's training.
Well, and whether or not you got a armed force, you got Marine type of police, or you got the community, you got the more intellectual police, they're going to be a big problem for either side of them.
Exactly.
But I think, I think it's time for some degree of a change, because, you got, it's like, from what I hear, some of these juveniles, they catch a case, a felony case, a violent case,
and get out,
and right be away. Out, be out in a couple of days and back out with shenanigans.
Well, again, that I believe some of that is our responsibility to make noise, and I mean the community, ourselves, because it's a parent issue as well.
Of course, that's
the
major.
Parents, for whatever reason, they might be working, they too busy. But I do know, in dealing with these issues on a daily basis, that some of them just, the parents don't care. They doing whatever, you know what I mean? And they know the court system, how it operates, so they know, hey, the kid do something, it's whatever, they gonna be right. They gonna give them a million chances. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they get used to that. Yeah. And it breeds this comfortable feeling where.
Let me ask you a question. Ask both of y'all a question. Do y'all think by having the National Guard in, that saves some lives?
I don't think so. I mean,
I believe it discouraged. I believe that some, this is what I said before. Even before the National Guard got out here in the streets, it wasn't as bad, because we've seen worse when we came up in. It wasn't as bad as they portrayed to be. The media, social media, whether it was the traditional news networks, every so often you get some crash out youngins. Yeah. But it wasn't on a daily basis like that. And something needed to be done in Southwest in the Navy Yard. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now that got out of control.
That got out of control with the
youngins
and the harbors.
My guy that I work, the owner of Britches, Great Outdoors. I worked with my guy for a few years behind the scenes, trying to get this store back open in DC. Y'all know it was originally in Georgetown.
One on Connecticut Avenue too, right?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, they had two,
it was only one Britches in the city at the time.
Okay.
So, he had closed back in the day and went out to, the store has never closed in Warrenton, Virginia. It's been in Warrenton, Virginia this whole time. So me and him, we had did a collaboration together, and we're putting our heads together and say, man, he really wanted to get this store back in DC. Long story short, got the store open down in the Navy Yard. The Navy Yard was fresh, before people realized it was such a problem. You know what I mean? And the young was that's a small business. It might not seem like a small business to us the way we grew up because it was britches. I hit the mic. It was britches. Like, you know what I mean? It was one of the main things for us. But it's actually a small business. And they did small batches, which he does now. And the youngers they were going in there tearing, man, smashing and grabbing on a daily basis. They were getting them on a daily basis, and he ended up having to close. So that and that was early on. That was a couple of years ago. So think about how long this has been going on down at the Navy Yard. It just kept multiplying and getting worse. And people, that beautiful, all those beautiful renovations of the wharf, right? It was in vain because people they're not feeling comfortable going down there to enjoy it.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
In a lot of ways, I mean they've and because that brings up another point about like the city and shopping. I hold off from going down that road. Let me ask y'all this: how much of a responsibility? Because what we represent here is multiple generations, people who've lived multiple generations. Or better yet, I should say this, multiple decades in the city. We saw some of the worst of the worst, and we see where things are right now. If we call a spade, some of the people who are out here terrorizing is kinfolk. So for some of the folk that watch our show. And if they ain't kinfolk, they kinfolk to somebody that they was close to coming up that may or may not be around any longer. But that's people from around the way, and they can get on the line and help reel that in.
Okay.
So how much of a responsibility do we and our audience and our folks have to be able to come back in and do some of that community policing?
Parenting needs to be parents.
Yeah.
I think how they say life is lifing. Parents should be parenting.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough out here, but sure, it was tough when we was coming up.
It was.
And somebody has to care. And while we're still relatively young and have some, we're healthy and have some energy, we need to be utilizing that energy if we really truly care about change. And our community, our city is small. It's not going to get any bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we know where we come from, so we want the same for our younger generation to be able to look. Y'all dealing with underdeveloped brains right now, so we know what you're going through, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to be able to fight through it and stay out of the system as much as possible. I hate to see the youngest go and have to go through that system because it's rough. It can literally ruin your life if you don't know how to.
When we look back on people saying, because it's tough growing up, period. We all know, we was young too.
Yeah.
We did things that,
of course,
because we was trying to look good too. We didn't have it like these youngers though. These youngers got that camera, man. Instagram follows you everywhere.
Yes,
we didn't have that. We just took some go-go pictures. But these youngers now, I feel bad because they got it bad. Man, I had to detox off that Instagram. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
We here sitting around here talking this talk. I had to step back because I was on there like this every day, all day. I'm like, damn, I'm going through it. I'm like, but I see what these youngers got to do because we're older. We don't have to show off and show what we got and all that. These youngers got it bad now, and I understand. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't say nothing. I'll be like, I try to be like, I
meet them where they are. You got to meet them where they are, and then that also, they we have to fight against them because they don't have city pride. We grew up with city pride. And it's a difference. They're being influenced by all these other places. Their favorite rapper, their favorite internet personality. There's just, they got so many things. They all day long, and so they don't have the same kind of pride that we had. We were into what we were doing, not what somebody else was doing.
But let me give you something real quick. Not to cut you. I don't
go
try
ahead.
to cut you. But listen, we are talking about DC when we grew up. DC is not the same DC, bro.
Right.
So when we look now, 10 years from now, we're gonna be looking around. It's gonna be 30%. It's gonna be 30% us.
Just say it. white.
If that,
no, I'm saying 30% us, 70% European.
Oh yeah,
right.
okay, yeah.
The city has changed, bro. It's not like when we grew up. They got cameras everywhere now. It's just different.
Oh no,
we grew up totally different. The city is not. It's not the same. But it's sad.
Okay, so putting all this into perspective, right? Mm-hmm. We have Republicans and outside people coming into the city, policing our city. Mm-hmm. Like that's the reality. Mm-hmm. And Mayor Bowser, born and bred from the area, she's local. She's one of us. You know, at first she pushed hard back on it, but then if you see where things are now, like she's whether that's political or not, but she's almost saying she's welcoming it, right? Mm. And there's the argument that says, like, and I get it. So 30 years ago, when we were coming up, it was a much different city, more violence. It was something, right? But that being said, any loss of life in any, like even if we went from, 500 and something murders a year, even if it's 30,
that's too many.
30 kids.